Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone today to our March edition of our Central Arizona College Board meeting. We are grateful to have everyone here, and knowing with all the sicknesses going around that could be a challenge sometimes, so we're glad to have everyone here with us today. Our second item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Any veteran who so desires may render appropriate honors. Dr. Banks, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Next item is call to the public. No one has signed up, so we will move now to the action items. Item number 4 is consideration of consent agenda. All items with an asterisk on the agenda are consent matters unless they are removed from the consent agenda at this time. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any governing board member. Consent agenda items will be approved with one motion. Pleasure of the board.
I would make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as written.
I have a motion from Mrs. Christensen to approve the consent agenda as written. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion to approve, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying nay? Any abstentions? Thank you. Item number 8, Central Arizona College Facilities Lease. Dr. Elliott.
Thank you. My computer just turned off, so I appreciate this printout today. This is a lease agreement that would be between Central Arizona College and the city of Casa Grande. The purpose of this lease is temporary office space for Lucid Motors. Lucid Motors will in turn enter into an agreement with the city of Casa Grande. You have quite a lengthy background here that I provided for you regarding the relationship and the partnership that the college has had with Lucid and the city, and kind of the terms of the lease. So I will kind of maybe just leave it up to any questions you might have.
Questions? Mr. Miller.
Yes. So it looks like the arrangement is a lease to the city, county, and then they're subleasing to Lucid?
Correct. Actually,
Lucid.
to the city.
Okay. I saw where the county was going to sign the agreement as well, so I'm not sure about that arrangement.
I had one question.
Just a minute, Dr. Banks. We're resolving one issue first, and then we'll take you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. City and county. My apologies.
Okay. And then so it's only Lucid as the subleasee.
Correct.
Okay. And it says that the city will cover utilities. Lists several of those. I didn't see security as one of those. Would we be taking care of that as a landlord, or would they take care of that as well?
We would be taking care of security and custodial services.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Banks.
It's probably in the document, but will this company be asked to put a rider on their insurance policy, so if there's any accident with any of their people or people they invite, that we're not held liable?
Are you asking if Lucid will have a rider on their insurance policy?
Exactly. A liability rider.
That is not. I don't have the answer to that. Our attorney has looked at this and did not bring that up. We have had a leasee before. Is it in there?
Item 15,
Oh, okay.
page 8. Tenant shall, at its sole cost and expense, obtain and maintain in full force and effect throughout the term of this lease following non-contributing primary insurance policies, all of which
Oh,
shall
okay.
name landlord as an additional insured.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a while since I read it. And if you may recall, this is the space that Arizona at Work used to lease from us. It's been sitting vacant since they left probably 2 years ago. So it's not space that we're currently using.
Further questions? Entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve given by Mr.
Second.
Miller. Second? Mrs. Christensen. Did you second?
I did.
Thank you very much. Further discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Those in favor of the motion to approve the lease agreement, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed by saying nay? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item is the policies for first reading under informational items. Irma Moncada. Thank you, Irma.
Thank you.
You're not nervous now, are you?
Just a little.
Just
a
checking.
little. Good afternoon, Governing Board President Gibson, Governing Board members, President Elliott, Mary Lou, staff, students, and guests. This afternoon, I present to you the first reading of the following policies. Employee ethics and professional standards. This is a revised policy. Drug and alcohol-free college, a revised policy. Firearms and other weapons, a revised policy. Background verifications, this is a new policy. Consensual relationships, new policy. And academic standards, revised policy. This first reading is for the governing board's review only. I would be happy to entertain any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions after the first reading? No questions.
Thank
you very much, Irma. Appreciate it. Next item is item number 10. Arizona Association of Community College Trustees report. Dr. Banks, please.
This is going to be, excuse me, I sound like a frog today. This is going to be a two-part presentation, and I'm going to talk real fast, make it quick. Yesterday, we had a phone call, which is the Arizona Association of Community College Trustees, and it was in regards to a retreat that we would like to hold on September 6th and 7th in Yavapai. Think that's Prescott. And the hotel is only $98. The retreat is for both the trustees as well as chancellor / presidents of the colleges. The purpose of the retreat is to come together in agreement so that we could form an alliance that will strengthen our strategic approaches for advocacy and lobbying at the state level and possibly at the federal, but primarily at the state. That's what will be discussed at this retreat. And there will also be a tour of one of the community colleges programs, which is in viticology. my question to the board is, how do you feel, in short, because I have a 10-minute presentation following this one, how do you feel at this time that we can present ourselves in a reasonable manner at this strategic meeting? And I'm going to ask Dr. Elliott to go first, not because I'm picking on you, Dr. Elliott, but you are the leader for this institution, and the board members serve the public, so hopefully you will follow by your opinions.
So is your question my thoughts on a retreat for board members in, I didn't get the date, September 6th and 7th?
That's correct.
Is this, my question would be, is this kind of discussion around the retreat replacing the GIS event that they've done before?
No, that was not discussed. This is something that bubbled up from our visit to Washington, D.C. last month. And at our breakfast, the question arose, well, we've got a lot of people here who are interested in advocacy, but when we get home, what do we have? We have to have a coming together of the college administration with the trustees.
I think that's an excellent point, and the timing is probably important as well. I haven't shared this with you yet as trustees, and I should, but the Arizona Community College Coordinating Council, which is all the college presidents, and you're very familiar. We meet monthly. In fact, we meet Thursday. We have just developed a community college advocacy marketing plan that we are all using as presidents as talking points. And I think that has come out of similar conversations, is how do we advocate for community colleges and advocate for our students and our communities we serve. So I think if you're able to bring the trustees together in the same manner, then it just it reinforces that message statewide.
We want something concrete enough that will assure us that, for example, Central Arizona has a pet project and we all march to the Capitol. The appropriate parties march to the Capitol, and we assure the chair of higher ed and the workforce that most likely the other colleges will follow. Well, what happens if they don't follow? And this is what we're afraid of. And in addition, there was several years ago an attempt to have advocacy groups, both with the presidents and the trustees, and the whole thing fell apart because of the example I just gave. College A may be totally different in needs than College B. I'm not sure if I'm addressing your point. Please tell me.
I think so. I mean, and this may come in my report here later, is I was at the Capitol yesterday meeting with legislators, and of course the conversation was about Proposition 301 and the importance for all of the community colleges in that. But most of our challenges, I think, in my opinion, are fairly similar for the community colleges.
And trustees, can you say something, please?
I believe that that trustees can be involved, but I think it's essential that we all are together and not acting individually, and that we have opportunity to discuss and, if necessary, take action in a formal way in a board meeting. So my feeling as president of the board at this time is that we should continue to discuss and to study this issue and what possibilities. I'm not interested in marching to the Capitol personally, but I am in favor of making known our unified voice in favor of the community college system and for the opportunity to enhance and move forward education at all levels in Arizona. I think it's really important, and I would agree that our voices need to be part of the decision.
Anybody else? Thank you very much for contributing. I will share that with the party that's working on the strategies. And Dr. Elliott, your input was very, very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, part 2 is up on the screen. And I think one thing I learned transitioning from faculty to administrator to trustee, you very rarely get closure on what you started out to do. And so these are the nearest closing remarks that address the information I gave you last time, and I gave you an enormous amount of information, but it all came from the ACCT. Second line is important, and I hope you have pencils, pens, paper. I've been giving you fish. Now I'm going to give you the golden rod. And the golden rod is the website for ACCT. And it allows you to go in and pick and choose what you want instead of listening to me babble about something you could care less about. The second legislative action, all of this is coming from Congress now. And in regards to grants, there's a sheet of paper you may have missed walking in. I'll give you a minute I'll run back and grab a packet, but it looks like this. It's your favorite style data. And let me do that.
Should I get that for you to help you out?
Sure, you can.
How many copies?
We can.
Everyone has a copy.
Okay. We all have a copy.
I don't want to miss anybody on this because I lost one tooth a month ago. I almost lost all my teeth last night when I was reading it. This sheet, you have on one side the total sum of what the Department of Education is estimating is going to be given for grants. If you look at the top 3 lines, they're all the grants. The other side is Arizona. Let's look at Arizona. The Pell Grants are going to continue, and they're saying there will be a 0.9% increase in Pell Grants. That's a good story. Now, the federal supplemental educational opportunity grants, formerly known as FSEOG, they're going to be decreased. And I'm going to ask Dr. Cardenas to be the source of information once I leave campus, or if I'm still here, because she has the greatest amount of information along with Dr. Elliott. But this particular grant is going to be decreased by $25 million and will, I think the reason, and Dr. Cardenas or Dr. Elliott, please correct me, I think it's because there are 2 types of supplemental grants. You have those that are fully funded and those you have to pay back. And I think the government is worried about payback. Am I doing something wrong here? Oh. Okay. And then the federal work study, I don't know why they reduced that, because it's usually not a payback, but I'm not the expert. I gave you the 2 experts. So that's what's going on with grants. Now, with the higher ed reauthorization, this is very short, and I'm going to read it. There were 3 primary areas addressed: innovation, outcomes, and student debt. And definitely the first 2 we have been addressing. I don't know what we have been doing for student debt. Dr. Elliott and Dr. Cardenas can address that. The administration once again calls for the expansion of Pell Grant eligibility to include shorter-term training programs, as well as newly proposed pilot program to expand access to market-driven workforce development programs via innovative providers of post-secondary education. The document also proposes aligning federal work-study jobs with work-based learning opportunities. In the area of outcomes, the administration is proposing a greater emphasis on outcomes in the accreditation process and more transparency and data related to post-secondary costs, graduation rates, and earning outcomes. Additionally, the administration is proposing the creation of a new federal risk share accountability system, whereas institutions would assume greater financial responsibility for students and that fail to repay loans. The administration is also calling for additional limits to student borrowing and supplying the current system of loan repayment. And finally, also released yesterday, and this was dated March 19th, so you're not getting ancient history here. After release yesterday were additional documents supporting the President's FY 2020 budget requests. The Department of Ed congressional justifications for FY 2020 budget requests provide greater detail regarding funding and policy proposals included in the target request. The Office of Management and Budget also released appendices and analytical perspectives. Stop it. Major savings and reform historical tables, federal credit supplement, and balances of budget authority. Those may be viewed here. Now, what I just read you was titled White House Outline Priorities for HEA. So with your golden rods, you can go into that website and find the same message there. Thank you, and I hope you didn't fall asleep. And I also want to say, when Dr. Elliott presents budgetary information or requests, it's not just Arizona. It is a larger agency driving those requests, and she's very well informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elliott. Dr. Banks. Dr. Elliott is on next. Appreciate the detailed report. Perhaps when we have so much detail in the future, it might be possible to put it in writing so that we can study. Would that be possible, do you think?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate that. A lot of good stuff happening. Next item on the agenda is a report from the Central Arizona College president. Indeed, it is Dr. Jackie Elliott.
Good afternoon, board members, President Gibson, faculty, staff, and guests. It is my pleasure to provide with you a brief legislative update Um, and follow up to my previous two legislative updates. We've been following House Bill 2268, and if you recall, this one is the one that makes a supplemental appropriations of $20 million to the community college districts for specific purposes. 7.1 million to Pima, 8.8 to Maricopa, and $500,000 to the rest of the community colleges, which would include Central Arizona College. This bill has been referred to the House Appropriations Committee. Next bill is House Bill 2036. It requires community college district governing boards to annually report specific information about dual enrollment to the Joint Legislative Budget Committee by December 1. It was moved from October 1st. We do compile that report for you. It's not like the board would have to do that report. It's something that we already do. This is past the House. So the implications for the college is that it's just changing the reporting date. The next is Senate Bill 1048. It requires community colleges to grant admissions to students who are under 18 years of age and who achieve either a minimum score of 720 on a scholastic aptitude test or a minimum score of 12 on the ACT. This bill has passed the Senate. The next bill is Senate Bill 1191. It requires each community college district to administer an Arizona Works community college grants for students who are enrolled in career and technical education programs at a community college in that district. Grants must be used to pay for tuition and fees. Eligibility requirements for grants are being established, and this fund would be $10 million from the general fund for fiscal years 2019 through 23-24. The grant program then self-repeals in July 1 of 2026, retroactive to 2019. This has passed the Senate. And then the last bill I want to review is Senate Bill 1217, and it entitles any person who graduates from a public or private school in Arizona to the Arizona high school graduate tuition rate in the amount prescribed by the Community College District Governing Board, and this has passed the Senate as well. So we'll continue to watch those bills. A few others that we've gone over before have stalled out. So in particular, the one that would grant the ability for community colleges to offer baccalaureate degrees, that one has timed out. So the district update. To date, I've met with over 200 full-time employees individually. I'm almost finished. We'll get there. I started in August, so this has been very rewarding. Some of the things that people really have appreciated that we've implemented in the last few years is the visiting with the VPs, the Trust Edge initiatives. People are very excited about the Guided Pathways work and their involvement on that. The conversion to online training for employees instead of making them have to leave their desk to go get some training that is required. They really appreciate that. The employees appreciate our new facilities, obviously the science building and this one as well, and the improved opportunities that Brandy and her team have put together for upward mobility, where people can move up and do some career progression. Areas that we still need to provide attention to are some of our processes are slow and laborious. We thought Nexus was going to help us speed some of those up, but as we're learning, that's not always necessarily the case. Computer hardware and software is very needs upgrading. We're hearing slow logon times for employees. Their computers are running really slow, so we have old computers and hardware, and the IT team has a wonderful plan in place, but when you're playing catch up, it's a slow game sometimes. Customer service, how we treat our students and how we treat each other. We have actually planned to a customer service training that we are sending some people to, and I think Jenny's going to touch on that in the monitoring report so that we can do some customer service training for our employees. And communication. So we continue to work on those issues. Employees are very appreciative of me taking the time to meet with them one-on-one. It has been an extremely time-consuming but very rewarding process as well. Yesterday, Ross Rector, he is an instructor here at the College of Industrial Carpentry, and Megan Wilson, a welding student. We went to the Capitol to meet individually with Representative Mark Fincham, Representative Michelle Udall, Representative Brett Roberts, Representative TJ Shope, Senator Heather Carter, Senator Frank Pratt, and Representative David Cook, and Senator Vince Leach. So it was a long day. Without question, our legislators were thoroughly impressed with Megan, our welding student. She is a phenomenal young lady and has a fabulous story to share. We were able to share with them our SUNT partnership and what we're doing with SUNT, and in particular reinforce the value of the Proposition 301 money and how it helps us support these types of programs. And then the last thing I want to point out that as part of the college's Alliance for Innovation and Transformation Summer Institute project, we go to the Summer Institute every year and a team brings back a project. The team that attended is in the process or has actually completed interviewing our students about their CAC experience. This information is going to be used to identify opportunities for transforming the student experience from the lens of the students and the job to be done, the job that they're hiring us for. So those are a couple of things, and I appreciate the time. I'll answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Dr. Elliott? No questions. Next item on the agenda is the Business Affairs Report. Again, Dr. Elliott.
Yes, I'm stepping in for Chris today, so please bear with me. I don't have his intellectual acumen when it comes to budgets as much as he does, but we were able, as you can tell, to be able to pull a budget report from Campus Nexus. It does look a little different than perhaps what we've had in the past. A couple things that I'll point out for you is that it does not right now have in there the student revenue and scholarship expense data. Again, that is something we're trying to pull from the system. And the operating fund expenditures shows committed funds of 58% of total budget, which is much lower than where we would normally be at this time. However, the system does not encumber payroll, therefore the committed column is significantly lower. I visited with Chris, and he feels extremely confident with his team that we're on track, that there are no budgeting or no expenditures or budgeting discrepancies that would be any different than what we've gone through in the past and last year. So no concerns there. But I will try to answer any questions you might have about the budget and what you have before you in the board packet.
Questions for Dr. Elliott on the budget? Mr. Miller.
Yes, Madam President, I do see, according to the budget, the student services is about 4.9 million, and the revenue budget is totals up to about 6 million. So I guess what you're saying is that we're on track with those numbers. So net about $1 million income from the tuition compared to what our expenses would be, even though that's not in the report. Is that?
I don't. So student revenue from student tuition and fees is not reflected in any of this.
Correct.
Okay.
So, but budgeted, budgeted 6 million in revenue for that.
No, it would have been much higher than that. Where are you seeing that number?
I'm just going on the line items on the revenue. Out of counties tuition, state tuition, district tuition.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Of what we budgeted.
Right.
And I'm gonna look to Jody, and I may call her up here if she wouldn't mind. So what we budgeted for this year would have been about 1 million for I see what you're saying. Let me look at these line items. Out of county and state tuition, 900,000, 40,000 for out of county tuition, and district tuition of 4 million. So you're right, about 6 million. Yes, please.
We take all of our tuition and split it between the two funds, so half of the tuition is represented on the line that says tuition, and the other half is on the line that's represented as registration fees. So that's where the other half of the tuition is.
Okay.
I don't see a registration fees on here.
Those wouldn't be fees. I don't know what, I don't have the exact fee, and I don't have the fee revenue.
Nope.
Can I come with a original?
Yes, please. This is all new because of how
Yeah,
it's
I don't
pulled
aim
in
to
there.
put you on the spot, but
No,
I
no,
know
no.
that we've struggled with ERP for a couple of months now, and this one seems to be always outstanding. I just want to get a level of comfort in that our expenses are not exceeding our revenue for these two budgeted line items.
No, it's a good question. I'm getting used to looking at these as well.
I think that question could be taken under advisement and perhaps information a little later. Are there other questions? Dan?
I can have, this is just the operating fund revenue, so that would be representing half of our revenue stream, because the other half is split off into our working capital fund, which is, we do not have that data in front of you, this is just the general operating.
But then I think this is something that I do need to go over with Jody and Chris at another time and be able to give you more answers, because the working capital, the student services, to your question, and I think I'm going to be able to answer your question. The student services portion of the $4 million, this is also an operating, but it's not pulled from working capital.
State budget has several different columns
Yeah.
on it. This just represents one of the 6 different columns on the state budget. The other half of the revenue shows up in completely different funds, so therefore is not reflected in the figures that they report.
And I think what we will do is, Dan and Rick, is I'll work with Jody and Chris to see what we can do to pull the budget together in a way that you can see the full picture, and rather than worrying about how we pull the reports from Nexus, because I think that's what I'm hearing is that we're pulling pieces from Nexus, but what we need to present to the board is the whole picture that includes operating and working. So, my apologies that we're not there yet. We keep saying it's the system, but
We understand transition. We understand transition. And I think, Mr. Miller, did you have a follow-up question?
No, I think she's addressed it, and I think it probably requires a little bit more detail. And with Chris out, I can fully understand.
Absolutely. Are there other questions relative to the budget report? I think, Dr. Elliott, members of staff, the key piece is that we just want to be comfortable that all the pieces are being followed, even though they are not quite meshing with the new system, that manually or through another system, that we are on top of all of the accounts and that we are fiscally responsible for the resources that we have. And I think that's the question that I have, and I suspect Mr. Miller and the rest of the board are very similar to that. We don't want to lose anything in the trenches.
absolutely. Neither do I. Trust me.
Absolutely. And we suspect that. Absolutely. We know that.
The next item in there for us to review is the awarded, awarded bids. So of 20,000 and over, we have 3 this month. The first awarded bid was a single source network support and system servicing consulting with Avid Consulting in Gilbert, Arizona, of $51,991.28. This is the contract for network and system consulting services for the district. The second contract is new furniture for the SMC classrooms from Atmosphere Commercial in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the amount of $193,613.30. This is to purchase new tables and chairs for the campus classroom at SMC. And the last one is the Adobe Acrobat Pro software licensing out of Vernon Hills, Illinois. This is for the district, and this is to renew our Adobe Acrobat license for the district in the amount of $24,636.70. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you may have on behalf of Chris.
There appear to be no questions.
And the last is the intergovernmental agreements that we have 5 of them for you. They are listed there, but I'll just kind of touch on them really quickly. The first is for our Small Business Development Center to Maricopa Community College as part of that consortium agreement. And that's in the form of a MAU, a Memorandum of Agreement. The next is with Oracle Elementary School and Mammoth Manuel School District. There's no cost to the college on this, and this is for agreement use of facilities for classroom space for continuing ed and community ed classes. I should have mentioned that the first one for the SBDC, the college's annual portion is $68,189. The next one is Employment and Training Department of the Gila River Indian Community. This is at no cost to the college, and this is for us to provide general education or our GED, adult education services to the Gila River Indian Community. The next is Landscapes Unlimited. This is an exchange of services, so we will conduct and facilitate professional training for Landscapes Unlimited LLC to meet its operation needs. Our heavy equipment program is going to be involved in this, so it's a exchange of services. And the last is with the Pinal Workforce Development Board at no cost, and this is the agreement between the college and the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act partners as required by WIOA. So it's just a continuing of a regular agreement we have to participate on the Pinal Workforce Development Board. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, because I think I can answer those.
There appear to be no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. Next item on the agenda is item 15, monitoring reports, and Dr. Cardenas and Dr. Gilliland.
Well, technically, this is my 1 month out of the year that I don't report for student services and monitoring reports, and Brandy's out, so I'm filling in for her. This is actually the second half of outcome number 5, which is the environment, ensuring a safe, sustainable environment that promotes learning, communication, diversity, and satisfaction among students, faculty, and staff. And first, I didn't address the group. So President Gibson, Governing Board, Dr. Elliott, colleagues, students, and guests, thank you for having me today. And again, I'm filling in for Brandy, so we'll see if I can answer these questions. I'm glad Irma's in the audience, too. So we're going to go through 4 of the sections for the monitoring reports: employee satisfaction related to communication, overall satisfaction, employee retention, and employee diversity. So the first is employee satisfaction with communication. And one method of providing this evidence is by taking a look at the Great Colleges to Workforce survey that goes out to employees. And this, again, is specifically targeted on communication. So the goal that was set by the governing board was a 95% satisfaction with communication, which was set back in 2017. The trend data indicates that CAC has consistently hovered around the 50 to 55% mark. We did increase slightly from where we were last year to 55%, and we have now surpassed the top performing honor roll peer institutions as well in this area. So we feel as though we are working towards improving communication, and I'll go through the recent and planned improvements in just a moment. We are working towards that goal, but definitely still have a long way to go. The second section is related to employee satisfaction overall. and the board here set a target of 80% back in 2017. And again, we use the Great Colleges to Work For survey to gain insight from faculty and staff. In this section, we've actually stayed right around 70%, 71% this year, with the honor roll being at 80%, the honor roll being at 88%, and our target being 80% as to where we would like to be with employee satisfaction overall. And the survey actually for this year has just recently come out. So faculty and staff are currently in the process of responding to the survey and providing their feedback. So this is information from the last go around, which was almost a year ago. The next section is related to employee retention rates. And one question that I had, and Irma was able to verify, is if this included both full-time and part-time employees, and it does. And I think that's really important to show in that we've listed a 90% retention rate for our employees, and it does indicate that we've gone down to 84%. However, with right sizing that Dr. Elliott has had us focus on as a district, as some of our positions have left, whether it be for retirement, for other positions, whatever it might be, some of those positions we have selected not to replace or to replace in different ways. So, for instance, last year within student services, we had a large group of part-time positions that were transitioned into full-time positions, but it meant that we went from, for instance, and I'm not remembering exactly off the top of my head, but we went from, for instance, I'm trying to think, it was 3 times the amount, so maybe 12 part-timers to 3 full-time people. So that would be reflected in this reduction as well. And I don't know if there's any more that you'd like to add to that. But I think it is all a part of right-sizing the institution as a whole as well.
And I'll just clarify, when Jenny talks about right-sizing, we're talking about the number of employees that we have at Central Arizona College. 82% of our budget is in salaries and benefits. The community college national average is between 69 and 72%. And so we've really been looking at, and when we benchmark with other institutions, we do find that in some areas we may have more staffing than our peers, similar sized peers. So through attrition, we are addressing that. So this number over the next few years may not reach the 90% as we're doing that, as we're getting to where we need to be staffing wise.
And the last of the sections is related to employee diversity and demonstrating diversity in the college environment, and how it's reflective of the population in the county as how it's reflective of the employees at the college. So this one, our goal is, the target is 44% based on the numbers that have been, again, compared to the county through the Census Bureau and IPEDS as well, and where we are. So currently we are at 32%. With the goal of 44%, and it looks like the county is at 43%. I apologize that I was kind of all over the place with those numbers. But we are continuously working towards increasing our employee diversity and reaching that goal so that we are more in line with where the county is as a whole. The recent improvements that Brandy's asked me to share, talent development has really done some tremendous work in the last couple years on really focusing on processes and communication and really taking a look at the challenges that employees have faced in past years. And I think I can speak for Brandy. She might not have tooted her own horn for her department, but I will say that our talent development department has really done an incredible job and has done a lot of great work. They've started doing one-on-one, well, actually the president has been meeting one-on-one with all employees, as we've indicated. Last year, we had the first in a while of our all-college family carnival. So we had a carnival in April of 2018. As Dr. Elliott indicated, we've worked on career progression and a career progression program throughout the district, including upward mobility, to help people to be able to move as they gain education and experience and have other positions that they're interested in working in, and being able to grow our own within the college. A job analysis and evaluation system, really allowing more flexibility within our current system. Let's see, implementing the monthly new hire orientation for full-time and part-time staff. It used to be something that was done once a semester, and that was really difficult, or actually it was once a year, I believe. Once a year? Twice a year. So for some of our employees, they may get hired right after orientation, would come in and do their orientation 6 months later. So they've really adapted and have started doing monthly new hire orientations to ensure that our employees have the information that they need. Dr. Elliott talked about the Trust Edge certifications. We had 5 of our staff and faculty who went to be Trust Edge certified to be able to come back and share what they've learned to develop our leaders and help to develop and focus, continue to focus on the Trust Edge as we have in the past. We actually did just recently send 4 of our staff members to a customer service training in Denver, Colorado, and I spoke to them this morning. They said it was one of the best experiences they've ever had. We focused on our frontline staff, our support staff, and helping them to go to this conference that was specifically focused on community college and university customer service and how to better serve our students and parents and faculty and staff. And it was a tremendous experience. So their goal was to bring things back to the college that they can now share with the greater population. And then requiring the continued requirement of diversity on selection committees. And the planned improvements that Brandy had asked me to mention are continuing with the rounding and check-in and chats that we've had, visiting with the VPs that again has been successful. We have a communication task force that's come together and made recommendations for strategies for improvement. They've come and presented to our cabinet and to the vice president's group, and we have some actions that we're moving forward in with that. Revising the employee and faculty evaluation process to include annual goal setting. So we've gone through a tremendous change to our evaluation process, and what talent development has heard is that both faculty, staff, and supervisors have really asked to incorporate annual goal setting specifically for employees, and that's something that they listen to and have been very responsive and are now implementing that into the evaluation process. We're starting a CAC Leadership Academy. So identifying those who are interested in becoming CAC leaders or leaders within the CAC community and helping them to develop those leadership skills. Let's see. And then finally, starting to look into implementing a CAC mentorship program to provide staff with mentorship opportunities from within the college. So lots of great things happening with talent development, and we certainly hope that, like we said, as I said, we're going through great colleges to work for now, so anticipate being able to report great things for the coming year as we're seeing so many of these changes taking place. So any questions that maybe I can answer? No? All right.
No questions.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. So Dr. Gilliland is very quiet today.
I was not a part of this report, so I contributed a little bit on the side.
Very good. I believe we have each reached the end of the agenda. Board is interested in hearing any plans in the future about the 50th celebration. So perhaps that might be added to a future agenda. At this time, I have nothing else to add, so I am therefore going to declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.